Good evening. Good evening. I'm here. I was eating my dinner. But we're here. I'll get some animation done today. We left off at a pretty crucial part. I've got some tweens. I got some work to do. I made myself some work to do. Like my biggest talent. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm your host, MCCanary. I'm ready to get, hopefully, this part of the animation done. What's funny is where we left off, we had me open up the popper. Now we have some finger placement. Here's the thing, I want to make sure, yes, that got to where I want it to. So yes, that's about where I want it. Now we need to get the hand up. We need to get a hand up, and then a 2, and a 1. So what we'll probably get done today is at least getting to... I'm gonna say we're gonna get to about here. I'm gonna say we're gonna get to about here today. That's the goal. That's gonna be roughly 12. I think that's gonna be roughly 12 frames. Something like that. It's gonna be close. I think it'll be close to 12 frames. Which will be the interesting part, is getting it to that. And with that, welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm your host, MCCanary. We're going to be doing some animation today. Now, what are you saying? Wait, what? Oh, well, I mean... Listen. Microtech might need fresh GPUs shipped out from their planet to the far reaches of that solar system, but I have to make the funny. I need to make the funny countdown. I have to make the funny countdown work. And hi, James. I should check. I haven't updated it recently. This is our problem. We have too many video games. I would happily do more Star Citizen. I like that game. It's fun. And I'm sure they've had even more, polish. I'm sure they've had more polish, so I've just been inundated. There are too many video games to play. There are too many video games to play, and you know this. Right now, we're animating me doing the funny countdown. The next part is that I animate the funny countdown, and then we pop the cork. Finally. I have to delete this. This will be interesting, because I have to get it to there, right? I have to get it to there. Oh no! You did mention, have they still not fixed the, because you mentioned they were having some problems with the freight elevators. You mentioned some issues with the freight elevators. I remember that being something that you had brought up fairly recently, actually. Also, I hope you enjoy this, because it's your fault that I know this exists, and it's great. I bet you, if you don't know what we're listening to right now, I would be surprised, James. They fixed those problems, then more different problems popped up. Ah, yes. Well, that's good. That is silly, though. They were like, well, oopsie. I know you were telling me about you were telling me about those issues fairly recently, actually. One go down like that, and like that. Welcome to the joys of animation. Now I have the fun trick of getting it from point A to point B. Now this is why it is recommended that you essentially do what I'm gonna call is reverse sectioning, essentially, because the like kind of overcome the larger encompassing concept is that you want to be mixing in straight ahead animation with post, or you want to be uh combining straight ahead animation with post to pose animation. And what the pipeline of that really looks like is you design or draw the sections of what you want it to do. So point A, point B, point C, point D, and then you start at point A and then animate forward to point B and then review your animation and see what you need to tweak from there. That's usually what I do. Or that's the process I'm getting to. For a while there, I was just drawing the next pose, then animating to it, then drawing the next pose, and then animating to it. Because this is specifically a sequence. This is a sequence that I'm drawing of a 3, a 2, and a 1. I have to have those poses anyways. Like, it's like I know what the full animation is going to be, so I just need to draw those poses and then draw the tweens to those poses. And there are theoretically 2 different ways you could do it. I prefer the straight ahead for the same reasons that the animator survival kit kind of mentions the benefits of straight ahead animation is it gives a little bit more feeling, and I like texture of like things not being perfectly timed all the time. Like animation, you have control of timing, but adding in a little bit of mistiming can give something a little bit of life. That's something I've always kind of worked with my animation anyways. Just even before doing hand-drawn animation, anytime I was animating a tween, let's say if I was animating the tween on one of my edits, on one of my video edits, like, I kind of just wiggle roomed the time. I didn't do it exactly 1 second. I would do, like, what felt the most appropriate, so it was never quite exactly a second. It was a little bit more or a little bit less than a second. But somebody who as somebody who's making something in a program, let's say, you do have control over the discrete timing no matter what. You do always have control over how much time something will take in a sequence of action. So, to a certain extent, I can say, yes, I am going to, or yes, I do want to add a little bit of re-add a little bit of artificial timing where it seems a little bit like straight ahead. The nice thing about straight ahead is you keep animating until you get to the point that you want. But also with timing and everything like that, because this is a countdown, these are all spaced out to be a second. So really what I should be going for is at least close to, right? Like maybe I remove a frame or two so that way it's imperceptible. But usually when you do a countdown, just because you don't know what a second is, like you can't get a second to the second, doesn't mean you can't time something in sequence. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Like you can still do a rhythm, just because that isn't an exact second. So ideally, regardless of how many frames I use, it needs to be about the same. If any of that made sense. Oh, thanks, Adobe. Oh, Adobe, are you trying to be like, oh no, no, we won't forget this time. Listen, I know you've already made You've already made that mistake once, Adobe. Adobe has already spurred me once by somehow losing a save. I still am like, usually I'm pretty consistent about hitting Control S, and also this program is actually usually pretty good about having a contingency. Usually it is keeping track of that, and I don't know. It just seemed to not. It just seemed to not. Which I noticed one time. I noticed one time that it just didn't seem to. Like, now why did you do that? Now why did you do that? Now why did you do that? Uh, Animate, Adobe Animate. It does not help me when you get rid of my work for seemingly no reason. Because for those who don't know, I actually fairly recently did end up losing a decent chunk of work in Adobe Animate because for whatever reason Adobe Animate didn't save one day. And I was like, well, I didn't like how it looked anyways, so I guess I'm doing it again anyways. So it was kind of lucky, but also it would have felt really bad if I, like, say, had done a wonderful countdown and then lost all of that work. But hey, on the flip side, sometimes you have to be willing to just lose hours of work, because it'll happen. And yes, I kind of do actually mean that. No, it shouldn't happen, but it does and it can. This is the nice thing about animation. Animation is just about redrawing the same thing over and over again anyways. Usually you only have to draw something like once and then just move it. All you're really doing is drawing something once and then moving it to a new position. It's also why I use. This is also why I use my Moe Jazz. It's got the good Nichijou, which is one of my main inspirations because Nichijou is really good. Thank you once again, James. Honestly, James, you're the reason why I know Nichijou exists. You really are. So I do appreciate that. And if you don't know what Nichijou is out there, you should everyone go watch Nichijou. It's great. It's the best. If you follow Discord or anything and ever notice that I have had the same character on Discord for like ever, that is a Nichijou character. She's great. Yuko is great because Yuko is me. Yuko is my brain. That said, I still can't get over our true formative friendship bonding where I started watching Azumanga Daioh and then without context, I think James and I had started hanging out a little bit. We'd start playing some video games. Uh and out of nowhere, I remember sending you a Steam message back when we were using Steam message for literally anything. Uh and was just like, "Oh my god, I am Tomo." And then you, without saying, asking for any clarification, went, "And I'm Yomi." And then our friendship was cemented forever. You can't get rid of me now. And you want to. But you know Yomi doesn't want to get rid of Tomo. They had to put up with all the bad parts to also remind themselves that they're superior to Tomo at all times, you asshole. That's why I have to be around to torment you. You can't feel better than me for free. Unallowed. Yes. What? Oh, this will be interesting if I can really capture this motion. This will be very silly. That's not moving fast. That's not going to move fast anytime soon. Don't worry. Some things I've kind of noticed that I picked up on more with animation that as I've been doing it more has helped me a lot is that you want to be actually turning off your onion skin a lot more because you need to be able to look at the actual frame you've drawn and go, oh, that frame looks good or bad. Like, oh, hey, this is actually an object, or oh, hey, this is not an object at all. Yeah. Because in reality, a lot of animation is just redrawing your image over and over and over. What is happening? Oh, that's what's happening. Boy, that's so confusing. I see what's happening. For some reason, my brain was having a hard time processing exactly what was happening on that, like, darker bit. I was like, why is it doing that weird overlay? Oh, it's supposed to be doing that, actually. Oh, actually, it's supposed to be doing that. In fact. I still wonder how the world would be different for me now if I would have gotten into animation when I did. If I would have gotten into just doing animation earlier and then gotten onto new grounds, I wonder if things would be different. I wonder how I would be. I wonder if I would have ended up alongside people like Ego Raptor and Oni Boy. I mean, I'm glad I didn't. I mean, I'm glad I have the friends I have now, but I do wonder if I would have had like a decade of animation already by now, had I done that. We'll never know. Gotta start somewhere sometime. One of the things that I actually learned recently, doing a little bit of research when I noticed that Takeshi Koida, who is an animation inspiration for me now, kind of an animation hero in a certain way, because he doesn't really have that much work under his belt, but he does have one of my favorite movies of all time that he was the animation director for, Redline. And when you look into his work, I was surprised. I was like, okay, so we're watching the Animatrix. What the fuck? This art style seems very familiar. Is this Koyoda? And I looked up Koyoda, to make sure. I looked up, Redline first to make sure to be like, who's the director for Redline? It was Koyoda. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's who I thought it was, Takeshi Koyoda. And I was like, I'm gonna shit a brick if this is him. And it did. It ended up being him. And the thing is that the release difference between Redline and his Animatrix short, which I do recommend, it's quite good, uh, is the difference of 6 years. He worked on the Animatrix in 2003. Redline didn't release until 2009. And apparently that project was nigh on a decade long. So he just like took a break in there to help make or help direct that animation. for the Animatrix, which I don't know if anybody really knows. And the reason why I bring that up is because actually looking into it more, like looking into when he like actually ended up finishing directing Redline, and if it did take like a decade for him to make, um, he technically did not have a full released product until he was 39 years old. Something about that is kind of like, I got some time. I got 7 years to do something with this, and if this is what I'm doing at 32, then as long as I'm still got a computer, I'm gonna do something. And something about that is like kind of why I even now like Redline a little bit more, is it is probably much more akin to his creative process than I think people even realize about a hype anime movie where cars go so fast that they explode and help you win. Um, like I think part of the reason why that movie works the way that it does is for all of its stupidity, it is made with every molecule of love that it says that it is made of. And I can respect that. I can respect that. All that to say, Takeshi Koeda, you're a hero and inspiration, and your work is good. Hope I hope you're working on other things. I hope he's doing something else. I hope Redline was not a. I hope Redline was good and that he's been working on more things because he's an inspiration. This is gonna be. I have to figure out how to get these fingers. To which, if anybody here hasn't seen the Animatrix, we talked about it a little bit on Monday. It's quite good. Highly recommend it if you have not seen it. It's quite good. Here's what I need to do. I just need to make this hand. And then I need to put it where I want it. I'm going to make the hand here. So I'm trying to get the shape, like, based on the last position it was in, right? And then I'm going to move it up where I think it's going to be. And it's, like, slightly uncurling now. Move what we have here for now. Like, here. A little bit. That. And this is something that I find that I personally resonate more with my work, which kind of probably works into less of the drawing aspect and more of the like traditional tweening of taking an image and moving it from point A to point B. That is something that I'm very comfortable with, is like the discrete positioning of things, like slight tweakings of the rotation and the exact position of something. That's why I'm like, I need the shapes. I need the shapes where they were, and then I need to nudge them and move them where they're going to be. So a lot of this is still going to be actually covered here. I need to do erase part of this. We're going to probably have to redraw it anyways, but I already know the information that I need for that because I already drew it. This was something that was like a little bit of a drawing tip as well, which is why throwing your art away is important, actually, is that anything that you draw, you should be kind of internalizing what you're doing anyways. Because if you're drawing things and not paying attention to how you do something or what you do it, it's going to harm you in the long run. You're not going to be able to redo something, which I struggled with actually quite a bit. Because being able to redo something is super valuable if you find like a cool way to do an effect or something. If you just don't pay attention to what the hell you did, then you're never going to be able to do it again. Which is where it kind of did help a little bit to like be coached a little bit to realize like, oh hey, I do need to pay attention to certain things. Perfect. You know what? We'll keep that behind there. Maybe make this hand just a slight bit bigger. Want to get to. Make it a tiny bit. Nope. Bit big. Nope. Tiny bit big. Just a little bit. Just to give it a little bit of exaggeration. Because I want to make sure that it gets to the same kind of size that it is over there. So. The real moral of the story is that anything that you do genuinely want, do genuinely want to do genuinely want to achieve, is probably possible with the big asterisk of really though you do have to kick your butt. You have to kick your butt a little bit. It is gonna be hard and it will suck, but you can actually probably do anything that you are able to put to your brain. Not go onto the highway. You will not become to a robot, though. I don't think you will. Might even die. Maybe. Another thing that has helped me with my drawing is to look at this as less like lines and more like objects. Even the lines are objects. That they're being moved when you draw them. That's what helps me. Gotta carefully move that a little bit. what's important to remember is that I'm not just trying to tween it. I'm trying to give the impression that her head is like being rotated and tilted. Gonna make the line. Oh boy. Oh, I know what I need to do. Okay. Yeah. That's not gonna do anything though. I just need to work with it. But I do need to, so I need to have a little bit more hair. Need to add a little bit more hair physics. Hair is a little bit stagnant. Not by intention, though. Hair can be tough, because hair is both springy and flowy at the same time. When hair's short, it kind of bounces and springs. It's got a little bit of a an elasticity to it. When it is long, it's more ductile. It's got flow, bend to it. It's got drift. Um, Hair's kind of an interesting material when you really start thinking about what the hell hair is. Just start nudging it. Ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. This is the tough thing about animation is there's anything that's like if you struggle a lot doing the same thing over and over again. I actually do. I have. I have in the past. Animation will be a challenge. Requires a lot of combination of a little bit of determination and patience to be able to do kind of the same thing over and over again. Because whilst you can get results actually quite quickly in animation or working on something, it still is a test of time, commitment, be able to have to draw something over and over and over again until it's done. There we go. Very gradual movements. Following the side of that as a guideline because actually the motion is going from right to left. However, it's very gradual. So all I have to ensure is that the line's position is slightly adjacent left of the last position that it was at. This. Start really subtly, slightly moving it over. Now animate, don't do that. Now animate, don't do that. And I did do a little bit of work. I did do a little bit of work between now and last time. I've been re-adding ears. Apparently I missed a lot of frames with ears. Actually, he usually has an ear around here, and kind of got lost in translation at one point early on. So I've been going back and adding that back. It's been nice. I need to add some blinks. I'll probably try to add blinks. What I want is I want a full motion, and then I want to go back to re-add blinks and subtle things like breaths. That's the that's the pre-post production. It's the post production of the first draft. Is I want to go back with one over and do slighter details, like a blink here, a breath here, like a sigh or something, like where there's some space. That is something I want to get to a point of. But for now, this is just, can I get it through an entire motion all the way through from start to finish? Secondary motions are something that I'm going to leave to later because they aren't. The budget goes to the most important thing first. Usually. That's the way budgeting should work. Always work that way. Usually how it works. I think I got everything. Boy, I'm gonna have to fix that in post. That's gonna bug the hell out of me. How did I do that? I must have been getting tired. I even remembered like commenting on that. I was like, oh, I know what I need to do, and then I didn't do it. And then I didn't seem to do it. Sorry, this isn't gonna bug me too much. Maybe I was just kind of zoning out, doing some tweens. Maybe I was just zoning out, doing some tweens. Totally was not thinking. It happens. I just have to be willing to actually use my whole hand when I'm, like, say, erasing something correctly. This is gonna bug me too much, so I have to get her hair to do the swoosh that I want it to do. Just going to get that more like that. And it doesn't have to be a bunch, it just has to be enough to be noticeable. The point that it get to, actually. And these secondary actions are something that you always kind of want to keep in mind. A lot of animation, even though it's, you know, its foundations are in cartooning and stuff, you have to remember, actually work on a lot of principles of physics no matter what. They very much are about understanding a sense of cause and effect, in which that every action has a response. Every action has a response. Is essentially what animation takes into account. Is that motion matters. Motion does in fact matter. Best. Got a little bit of turn there. You got rotate. You can see the rotation in the hair, even if it's weird-ish. Like it doesn't. It kind of makes it makes sense. You see rotation there. You see that the shape changes in a way that isn't just it squishing. It's actually it kind of like changing its relative position based on its placement next to the head. What impresses me is that I got to this face without actually looking at a reference of the first face that she made, and this is very, 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 very close to the actual initial face that I gave her. So I'm very proud of that. Far as we can. Far as we can. Because again, the goal is to kind of get close to. I at least want to get the hand up there. Nope, that's not important to do right now. The hands are the most important thing. They're the thing moving kind of the most in this picture. This will be very interesting. Just kind of thinking of spacing and all of that. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. One of the tough parts is going to be getting some of the size here correct and getting the perspective right. Though I've kind of become very fond of getting like really warped with my perspective in some ways. I've really enjoyed doing that more and more. These really exaggerated flat perspectives here. Hopefully that makes sense to what I'm doing. I think it does. I think it gets across what I want it to get across, and then we're going to have this. Haven't collided yet. Just start to get that in there, and then we're going to take it here, and we're going to move it up. Move it up a little bit more. And again, we're just drawing it one step at a time is what I'm going for. Is I'm drawing it one step at a time. Hands are kind of weird sometimes. They do all sorts of weird stuff. So this is kind of scrunched up. You gotta think about it when you're looking at your hand at this position. I'm like, it's starting to open up. The other fingers, but their index finger is still is actually curling down while this is happening. Kind of like that. Still might have some overlap here, so we're erase just this out so that way I can draw over it. This is just to help me keep the size relative without having to try to eyeball draw it every time. But it also helps put in a little bit of secondary motion, a little bit in the hand of this of the holding hand, because holding hand is doing very slight, changes like in grip and stuff as it moves. All right. Now we just make the lines in the right spots. Just put the lines in the right spots. There we go. Line here. Then put that line there. Nudge this nose a little bit more over. Again, very gradual. Always remember, if you want to become an animator, you gotta start drawing. Honestly, making doodles is probably the best entry point to getting into animation because really, animation boils down to making a bunch of sequential doodles. It's a sequence of doodles. Animation is a sequence of doodles. Hey, I found the VOD title. And I don't think that's incorrect, because really, your animation will benefit more, at least starting off, from focusing less on the drawing and more on the capacity to which that drawing can be manipulated and moved. The more you can if you can draw something starting off that's really, really simple. For whatever reason, I've kind of noticed too, is where I started. Start with an orb. Start with just a circle. Starting with a circle is, for whatever reason, one of the best starting points, and I think it makes sense because it is the simplest object that somebody can draw, that you can draw consistently over and over again, that you can do things to. The circle is the simplest thing to draw and redraw and manipulate and change over a course of time, to be able to show the illusion of animation. Start with a circle. A circle is always a good starting point for animation. Want to move a circle from point A to point B? That's just you training, drawing that circle in a sequence. Want to train deforming a ball? That's just you understanding volume and change over time in how something might squash and stretch from points of deformation. You know, that's one of the things that makes an orb and a ball so good, because you don't treat it as lines. You don't treat it as a doodle. You don't treat it as a drawing. You treat it as an object. And when you can learn that animation is moving a series of objects regardless of the dimensionality of the actual animation you're doing, then you can start to better understand how to draw that object consistently. Because for me, what I got stuck on a lot was like, yeah, I get that you have to draw it, but how do they draw it the same every single time? And what's important to remember is that they weren't drawing it perfect every single time from memory. They were drawing the same object over and over again through rigorous practice or rigorous reference usage and through onion skinning and through tracing paper, which I didn't understand. I did not get that. How to become an animator? Well, quite simple, really. You do what I do. Start drawing. And you keep drawing until you cry. And I do think there is a certain amount of benefit to redrawing all these things. There's just something that works better when you draw the frame. I don't know why. Even when things are holding still, it works better. Like if there's like slight changes to redraw the whole frame than to just erase to copy and paste it and retrace the parts that are changed. I've tried that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Works for other people. I'm glad because it does not work for me. I've tried many times. I've tried many times to get that to work, and it does not work for me at the moment. The only time it has worked is in this animation where I literally just had the object hold completely still. As soon as something changed or moved, had to redraw the whole thing. And I don't know why. That's something I can't explain. Being fussy. It was being fussy. It was being fussy. Oops. Yeah, that's gonna look good when I finish that part, actually. That's gonna look quite good. This one. That was a little bit weird. Almost there. I've about got the timing for this just about right. I think this is about the right amount of time. And what I want, so I want it to be like unfurl and then center. So actually, when she opens up her hand, this should not be at that point. It should actually be a little bit off center from it. You'll see. You'll see, hopefully. That's the hope. That's the dream, baby. It's the dream, baby. Now what I need to do. Get more like what the thumb and finger are actually going to look like, right? Which is going to be more like that. This still got maybe, yeah. Because I want it to be a little bit arcing. Little bit arcing. A little bit arcing. More like that. A little bit. So slightly. This is where hands do become a little bit more complicated for me, but it's a challenge. It's a whimsical challenge, this hand. I do the same thing here. And the thing is that I gotta keep. This is something. If you flex your hand, if you open your, unless you close a finger at one, actually any finger you move, they all move kind of together no matter what. Try to just move your pinky. You just move your pinky, you have if you open your hand like I do in the final three, where she has three, right? And you start curling your pinky, your ring finger starts to move, and your fingertips are almost always in line with each other unless you forcefully hold one of them down with your thumb. Until you forcefully hold one down with your thumb, your hand wants to move in relation to the other fingers if they are free moving. So I have to keep that in mind. So if I have them around here, then all of the fingers are kind of curled in a pattern, in an arc like that, together. This hand is the hardest hand. This hand is the hard. Why? No. Why did my brain go there? Get out of here. You. Do think we stick with that. I do think we stick with that. And sometimes you have to draw. Sometimes you have to draw the hand that looks best, not the hand that's the most correct. Might have to do some hand study. Let's see. Might have to just take some time to practice some hands. You can always, hey, never forget, no matter how much you draw anything, you can always draw more hands. You could always do more practice drawing hands. I like drawing hands, and I'm like, fuck, this is tough. This one was a tough one. I like drawing hands, and this one was a pain in my butt. A little bit, a little bit more. Gotta make your little finger shelf. I see what I. Oh, I understand. No, that. But it should move. Oh, 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 oh. Misunderstood. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes a little bit more sense, actually. Oh, that makes a lot more sense, actually. I learned something today, guys. Yeah. Now what we need to do, go to that layer, right? Take the whole thing. Now I have to move it just slightly more up. We're gonna do a little bit of rotation here, actually. Oh no. A little bit more. The idea that I have here is that actually it's like when you see where the hand is, that's where it is when it falls. Like that's fall. Like so you pull your hand up, right? You're pulling your hand up and then you drop it. You move it down a little bit. So this is going to arc up. So if we look at this, this is going to arc up this direction and then fall back down from about let's say the index finger or the middle finger goes to about here and then fall back down here. So it'll go, you have this up arc, where you're opening your hand and then you're down. Up and down. Give it a little bounce. Give it a little bit of bounce. So, that's better. Maybe move it up just slightly more. Okay, no, that doesn't. That. Trying to get this correct on the pivot. I mean, it makes sense, kind of. I've just gotta do what works. And same thing. Out from here. Bit. Now we're starting to get to a point, and I might go like this. So right now I just need the popper. It is theoretically the same correct size and shape. I'm gonna grab it. Down to get the funny hand. Get the funny-o hand. I still to this day do not know what that hand sign is. Why the OK sign was so funny to the kids, but you know, whatever. They can enjoy whatever the hell they want. Do something like that. Then like that. Then like that. Got a line. Oops, I forgot a line. Weird. Why did the Alt button make that noise? It toggled something that I was able to turn off at least, but sorry about that, everybody. Actually, you probably couldn't even hear the Windows Bing noise it was making. Never mind, I rescind my apology. You didn't get to suffer. I'm not gonna apologize for something you didn't have a problem with. I was the one in pain. Just gotta follow the shapes that I have. Just follow the shapes that I have. Working in more vector art would actually probably help me quite a bit too. The next project that I'm going to be working on will probably have me doing quite a bit of mixed media vector art in Fresco, where I'm going to start off with working in vectors in Fresco and then texturing it like I did last time in the last project, um, with brushes and stuff. I think will be a lot of fun actually. I think it'll make for a good. It'll make for a very interesting aesthetic that I'm going to be going for. I even think I know what I'll start with. And I definitely want to start it now, even though it's arguably going to be a Halloween project. I definitely want to start it now while I have got it in my brain and want to start working on it and start. Because no matter what happens, at least I'll have a bunch of resources for it for whenever I can and will be able to do it. Main goal is going to be creating and compiling resources is what I'm going to be doing. And honestly, at the rate that this animation is going, I think I'll have this done sometime in fall. I think it should be done even before winter. I don't think this will take me all the way into winter, but we'll see. As long as nothing happens. I mean, summer is almost... Summer is already over halfway done, and I am definitely over halfway done with this. And I've gotten much faster in some ways. And then I'm also fixing it on my own a little bit, which is not something I am starting to do more of, which is very, very good for my sake. My work, honestly, my workflow is a bit of a nightmare, and anybody out there who would like to know, you do not want this. It is hell. It is a little bit of hell. It is managed hell. I have managed hell pretty well. Because a lot of my work, the kind of hell part of it is actually me essentially finding time to not work. Um, I'm always working on something now these days, which is a good thing. I'm never short of work. I'm never short of doing things, but it does mean that I'm like, man, it's really hard to not fall behind, isn't it? Yes, it is. Absolutely, it is. It's the hardest thing is not falling behind, in my opinion. Arguably. Bless me. And I mean, I remember somebody coming in and mentioning that a lot of the people from like FMA and stuff were drawing like perfect circles and stuff every single day to like try to practice and train their drawing. And really, that is a half truth even with something like this. Essentially every single time I come back to this project, I'm implementing a little bit better and a little bit more the things I learned from the last time I drew. And I'm drawing the same thing over and over and over again to really train myself to less be able to make that shape and more be able to steady my hand to make shapes consistently. The less you have to redraw something, the better. Well, that looks good. Hand's a little weird shaped right now, actually. It's gonna get the bottom of that effect. And if I need to, I can delete, I can add frames. Because ideally, what I want to be doing here now is I want to be probably 3 more frames to get to the 3. Something like this. I want this to be the right shape. Ish. Maybe a little bit of hyperextension. Right? So we got that at the right we got that at the right close to the shape that we want, but now I need to take it. Mm. Love it. Now what we want to do, more like this. We needs to move a bit more. I wanted to make that arc. I want there to be an arc in the motion. I don't want it to just be going around. Yeah. Slight bit more. Something like that. So notice how she's lifting her hand up in an arc. She's not just opening her hand. She's not just bah. She's not open. She's opening her hand up. She's opening it up in an arcing motion. To be able to do that, I need to not just get the shape right. I need to make sure that the position and everything is correct. Yep, getting close. Getting there. Say that this hand is pretty much where it's going to rest almost entirely. It's some slight variation in there, but this is not going to be that much. This is something I'm trying much more carefully. I'm nudging a lot more. I'm not just like smashing it on there and scribbling it until it goes away. I'm being much more delicate with how I actually cut away. Treating it much more like cutting and less like undoing. There we go. Can't look at it. I can't look at it until I'm all the way through it. I refuse to look at my progress. Not to say that I'm not looking at it at all. I just mean like I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to take a look at it until I've gotten you son of a gun. Until I've gotten the full motion in there. And then I can judge and be like, okay, does frame need to be added? Does frame need to be removed? That's the thing, is that once you have a full motion, then you can start making judgment calls on things like, do you need it to go long? Does it need to be sped up or does it need to be slowed down? And that for me is what I enjoy in animation, and like getting timings and getting speed correctly, is getting the speed of motion very nailed. And the best way to increase the speed of an action is to remove frames, and the best way to slow down an action is to add frames. Because in reality, Adding more frames to an animation does not make an animation better. It doesn't. It all it serves to do is, unless you're talking about like frames for an action, adding frames to a motion, if it extends the period of time that it takes to do it, is not going to improve anything, because all it is making an action get more and more drawn out, especially if you're wanting an action to be quick or snappy. You need to have an innate idea of how much time an action is going to take. Get that collarbone in there. I honestly don't know if I draw collarbones correctly. I might have to look at collarbones again. My collarbones are simple. They're just 2 lines. Just 2 lines, brackets that sit right underneath your head. That's what a collarbone is to me, but that's not necessarily correct. I don't think that's necessarily right, but it is how I've always done collarbones. I might have to think about the position of collarbones. I think I also make them a little bit too pronounced sometimes. I need to dial it back. There we go. Always find ways to do things faster. If you're making anything, you are in production, and if you're in production, if you find a way to do something quick, that is always a good thing. The paint bucket can be your best friend. Use it. I have learned this. The paint bucket is your best friend if you know how to utilize it. Anything is a tool if you know how to utilize it. I can attest that. Anything can be a tool. Flip side, people got to remember that if something is going to be utilized as a tool, it needs to be utilized responsibly. Utilization of something just because you think it's better does not actually make it better. I'm not going to clarify what I mean by that. Though I probably could. I mean, you're watching me now. Right now, literally watching me do hand-drawn animation, and would some reason be like, what do you mean you don't like AI? You weren't gonna enjoy this place anyways. I'm doing the thing that you probably hate most. You're probably the same people who think that quote unquote increasing the frame rate of animation will make it better, and no. No, it won't. Frame generation. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If they really wanted to stand by frame generation, it would be frame generation from the standpoint of you do drawing, you draw out your piece. Let's say if I was working on this at 24 frames, and then I frame generate all of the tweens for 48s, and then I go back and fix them. But that still requires somebody going in and fixing the work. That's why it's like, you can't just say frame generation is the answer to improve all animation. Because now you have 24 discrete images that you have to fix because all it will do is a good estimation at the moment. It won't make a good frame. because it won't be able to interpret frame very well. You'd also have to go back through by eye and by hand and remove frames that just didn't work, because not always does a motion look better if you add more frames to it. It's a phenomenon in animation that animators, as far as I know, animators don't necessarily know why it is this way, but actually there's a certain granularity of animation in which adding more frames doesn't make something better. At least not from what I understand and what I've experienced and what I've done from working in animation, the little I've worked in animation, even just the little I have. Adding more frames doesn't improve the quality of something. If you're working at twos at 24 frames a second, and then I bumped it up to twos at 30 frames a second, it would cause more problems than it would do good in a lot of ways. And then on top of that, it just would mean that I'm drawing now 15 frames instead of 12 frames to get the same motion. Get the same motion with so you'll get like maybe some smoothness, you'll get a slight smoothness, you'll get a smoothing, but it's not going to improve anything. Because smoothness in animation doesn't matter as much, I think, as people think it does. There's a certain upper threshold where you start getting diminishing returns. Like, it's not to say that it isn't quality wise better, but it does mean more work, more chances for things to go wrong, and it will make it look smoother, big quotes around that, but you're just gonna do that. That's all it's gonna do is polish. It's just polishing it. That's just polish. That's not better necessarily. That's just cleaner. You've cleaned it. Clean, quality wise, is saying that something is objectively better for being cleaner is only correct when you say that there's nothing else that should be accounted for. Then yeah, you're right. Cleaner is better. But you don't always have the time, the resources, the energy, etc., etc. Frame generation, or animation, until it can be utilized in such a way that it can actually reduce that time to where you're taking the same amount of time to do about the same amount of work, to do more work in about the same amount of time, then that's fair. But right now, generative AI does not really do that. It doesn't really do that on its own. It needs a doctored use, which is why the real use case that most people are coming up with, which is what it always has been with interpolation and stuff, is you interpolate everything and you go back through and then you fix the frames and remove the frames that aren't working. That's the only way that you get interpolation to actually work. Because for me, interpolation kind of looks bad. It looks weird. Also, hi, Silos. Hi, Silos. Okay, so I want to keep this a second still, so I need to take this, right? A little bit. Just nudge it. Just nudge it. Nobody said nothing about AI. I just want to rant. Yes. You can say it's a rant. It's not a rant. I mean, I have cause to now like be worried because, like many things, it seems that always happens in my life. I pick the absolute worst time to try to get into it. So now I have to be worried. Well, that's your own fault, isn't it? Man, probably. I see. I'm good. Oh, god damn it. Let's see what I've done. That's what I need. Deleting the wrong thing. That's what I'm doing. There. God, I love Sea Slug. It's just so chill. Sea Slug is just so chill, man. JT, you had no right to find the most chill collection of music I've ever heard and go so hard in mixing it together. He really didn't. He really didn't need to go so hard. Now we're going to start arcing it. And I want it to be 3. And I want it to be 3 or 4 frames, essentially, to get to where it needs to go. So it'll probably, yeah, we'll try 3 frames. I'm going to try 3. So it needs to get from this point. Actually, needs to hold. There needs to be more acceleration. Need to hold it there for a second. This needs to move a little bit more. It actually needs to hold for about 3. One, two. 1, 2. 1, 2. The pain, the pain, the pain. Trying to figure out how that goes. Oop, missed a line. Always miss this line. I don't know why I always miss that line. There we go. Going to get... I'm definitely going to get to this first finger. I'm definitely going to get the 3, and then I'm going to probably get about halfway through the 2, is what I'm going to anticipate. That's how many frames I'm going to anticipate getting done. Which is not bad. We started here. We've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I thought. I'm gonna get probably a little bit over a second done today. I'd say I'm making good time, by the way. Well, I at least have some sympathy to anybody who works on a project that they have like barely any budget and nobody to help. Want to go like that? Next frame. Want it to pendulum just slightly. Want it to just pendulum slightly. Whether it will do what I want it to do is going to be up to the bones a little bit. It'll be up to the bones a little bit whether or not it does exactly what I want it to do, but yeah. Uh, okay. Boy, did I give her some lizard eye. I did not mean to give her a little bit of lizard eye, but eh. She ain't losing that much focus. She isn't losing that much focus. That, that, that. Eh. That. Then we go bend it around. What's funny is at this point, I don't really use the pen so much as I kind of just trace where the pen is going. And really, the pen just facilitates. It just facilitates. It facilitates where the mouse is going, but I don't actually really utilize the like pen tip as precisely as you would think for what I'm doing. Right? Oop. Then about to say, I was like, excuse me, where's my thing? One more. We're going to just slightly nudge it a little bit more to the right. I guess I could have been doing that. That will, yeah. Oopsie. Yeah, I'm gonna do that more in the future. It is a nice feature to be able to do stuff like that. The whole reason why it does that is that way you can change the degree, the axis of degree in which something moves, which is quite useful. I think I meant the degree of axis. Oh well. Say Levic. There we go. All right. And I'm almost. I feel like process-wise, I at least have got this down to a good cycle. And I certainly am going speed. I'm certainly going A speed. I certainly feel like it is hard for me to be like, wow, I'm going. Like, it's been 2 hours. Haven't really taken much of a break. I haven't really gotten too distracted today. Just slow. It's just slow. Drink water. Oh, God. You know how to make me drink water, but I'm gonna do it anyways. You won't make me drink more water. You won't. God damn it. I do think today will be a little bit shorter in the sense of like I kind of want to. I never want to go too close to 11 anymore. I usually want to be done around 10:30 just because I want to be able to wind down. I want to be able to have an evening. But thank you. Thank you for the water. Thank you, Hydrate Man. It's good to see you as always. And for anybody out there who's like, why don't you do Gardic Phone anymore? This is something I've thought about. I did Gardic Phone again. It'd probably be after this project is done to keep up animation for a little bit. But I mean, I was really enjoying Gardic Phone, but then also I really was kind of getting stressed out about Gardic Phone. I won't lie. It was getting stressful. There was a lot of demand, and the thing that'll turn me off from anything is when the demand no longer is about like what's gonna be fun, if that makes sense. So much of it became more about the demand of like keeping up with Gardic Phone that I was like, ugh, gross. That's why I'm kind of hoping. It seemed like dinosaurs went really well, and I do want to do more dinosaurs because, like, I can keep playing that game and talking about dinosaurs for seemingly forever. But who knows? Maybe I'll get tired of that too. Gardic Phone, it was just really strange. It also had a lot of work. It had a lot of work unassociated with it because every time I had a Gardic Phone animation stream, I then had to compile all the animations, and then I had to take all those animations, and then I had to turn them into a reel, which wasn't no work. It took a decent amount of work. I felt like I got it down to as quick as I could, but it still took quite a bit of time. And then I was getting to a point where I was like, I want to like pick the best of these, and I only got like a few done, or only had a few people join. Then I was getting to a point that I had so many that I was like, too many to pick from. So I would love to do Gardic Phone again sometime, but right now I'm just like much. Also having to deal with all the people who are joining and stream sniping from the sense of like trying to get me in trouble and stuff, like that was just too stressful. Wish people understood that like probably a lot of the reason why a lot of people don't do that stuff is because whether it's this is a hobby or not, like it's not fun to interact and engage with people who want to do harm to you. And even though people will be like, we're just trolling, like, it still is harm. It's still not okay, you know? But so I'm hopeful that the dinosaur game, it's like if people like catch on and they start joining, even if they're stream snipers or whatever, they're not doing anything to like adversely like be a detriment to the viewing experience. Like, that's the only thing I would be worried about. And I'm hopefully going to join a server where I'm hopefully also in a server where that will hopefully be like reduced as well, because like it'll be literally against the rules in the server, and the server's having changes in which that will be a little bit more strict because it will be more of a closed community. They're adding a password and everything, and by Jove, will I not give the password out unless I really trust you. Because the last thing I'd want to do is be responsible for something like that and then lose access to that server because they were like, you let in people who were being assholes. And I'm like, yeah, I would not do that. I actually would probably be like, I can't get, this is not my server. And the last thing I'd want is the server to not be able to use the server anymore because Unsavories just thought it would be funny to troll the streamer boy. Again, ugh. People gotta be nicer. I do. I do genuinely think people should be just nicer on the whole. And no, I don't think that being like, well, you know, you can't make me be nice. No, I can't. But why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't people be nice? No one should think it's okay to be mean. I don't think it is. Unbelievable take. Person thinks that it's not okay to be an asshole. Fortunately, it does feel like that sometimes that you have to take that stance. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. And did too much. Nope, too late for regrets now. Now, okay. It's down a little bit. Bit. Yeah, that'll make sense actually, because even if so I do 3 frames here, right? I do one for the start, this is the second frame, and then do a third frame. Even if I do that, if you look at the base of the hand, look at where the base of the hand is. The amount of motion there is actually down here is far less than out here because it works at an axis. If the axis of motion is down here, axis of rotation is down near the bottom, you have a little bit less movement at the bottom to equate to a lot of movement at the end. There we go. Cat is gonna make this difficult. He's sitting in my lap right now. Cat is sitting in my lap right now. He's being a little bit of an obstruction. I think right now I get about a half a second. I get about a half a second an hour. Because if I think about it, let's say if I even do one of these in 5 minutes. If I do one of these in 5 minutes, that's still only 12 frames an hour. That's half a second. It is half a second of work that I've gotten done. And it does depend a little bit on how complicated it is, if I'm working from another pose or whatnot. That's how slow this is sometimes. I mean, that's why there literally is a job. I could put it on my resume. There's literally a job title for tweener. All they do is the tweens. Probably could put that on a resume. And you want to know what I'm actually proud of? I feel like most people end up bouncing off animation because they'll try something like twos and just be like, this takes too much time. And then they lose like concentration or they get frustrated or whatever. Um, I'm very proud that for the first time I have been working on something like this and have been able to consistently make forward progress on it no matter what. I haven't gotten stuck at any part of this animation necessarily. And when I mean stuck, I mean like I didn't spend an entire stream waffling, though I do remember a couple times where I got real rough there. I'll admit, I had some pretty rough days earlier. Get in there. Get closer. She's getting closer. Was it really dumb? That wasn't meant to be a bit, but it ended up being a bit. Sorry, I Jamiroquai'd everybody. Probably Unhot Tank. That is actually a really good song. Um, and Jamiroquai is a good band. I don't think any. That's the coldest take I think I could have given out there. Is that Jamiroquai is good. Of course, always subjective, but I would say yes, Jamiroquai is good. And the funny man hat song is actually a really good piece of music. I think Digital Insanity gets a little bit more topical as time keeps plodding forward endlessly. Oop. I called it virtual insanity, right? What did I say? Did I say digital insanity? I meant virtual insanity. Also just a good ass jam. And that music video is very fun. Like, the set design of that music video is pretty wild. My understanding is the entire set moved. Like that's how they got all the effects. Is the set itself was what was moving, which is that's that's cool. That's really cool set design. So the fact that that became the butt of anyone's joke, I mean, know who's the joke for. So really, really, I think anybody who's at this point going to be like, yes, they deserve to be made fun of, doesn't understand that it's good. It is a fun set though, and it is a fun music video for kind of the sillier parts, but it's great. It's great. Good. But I was kind of talking about my production earlier, my like production schedule, and I've kind of managed hell. One of the things, one of the struggles and the trouble that I've had to figure out is I've now been bulk loading a lot of my work, and what I've slightly done is like essentially forward built a reservoir of clips. So that way, in the off chance, if one day, though I feel like recently I've been in a good kick for getting a lot of clips, uh, like I have to do some back sort, but I also now have time for like days like today where I don't need to work. Well, actually, I will. I could spread out. I could spread out working on clips over multiple days since I was able to get a little bit ahead for once. And I need to stay ahead. That's the big thing. Is like I don't think I need to make as many going on into the future, though. I should make as many as I can. By as many as I can, I found is three. Three is the beautiful number for how many clips I can generate out of a single stream in one sitting, and I mean that from like a production standpoint, not from a every stream needs to have three clips and I should be doing more than three. I mean it from a or that I can't do more than three in a stream. Um, Oftentimes it's what it just kind of like boils out to. Guys, I have an excuse for my production process. The cat in my lap slows me down. He does. I have a cat in my lap right now. I have to hold my keyboard at a really weird angle to be able to do anything. In the way. Okay. I did pat him in a weird way and he looked at me a little bit offended. He was like, "Why'd you do that?" And I tell him, actually, you're really in the way, bud. I don't want him to move because actually he's being really chill right now. He's been good today. He didn't even scream at me once. Sitting at my computer. It's like good for him. Usually he screams his butt off at me. Sit too long. Okay, so I want axis of rotation to be around here, a little bit that way, and then ever. Yeah, bring that. Because it'll be one more. It'll be one more frame. It'll be one more frame that I make. Which will be perfect, because I'll probably call it after that frame. It did start a little bit late, unfortunately, so. Yeah, well. Kind of needed it. Want to be able to take more of my own time to like get stuff ready and stuff. I'm doing a lot of work. Working a lot. That's great. It's a little stressful. Sometimes I get worried that I do work a little bit too much. Even for my own good. You know? That I'm working a lot on things that ultimately are taking a lot of time. Kind of think about it from the standpoint of if I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing a lot of other things instead anyways. At least this is going towards hopefully something that I can continue to build out. What I'm hoping. Feel like I want to do nothing less than my best to try to contribute toward the world, not for some demand of it, but because no one asked. No one asked me to do any of this stuff. Did it? I hope that's enough. People start seeing that as a reason to, oh, guess help me out and stuff. I want to get to that point. I want to know what that looks like, where the reason why people are helping me is because they want to help me. And I guess I should be willing to say, like, anything that people can do to help be very appreciated now, will always be appreciated. Been watching a lot of the Bum Boys, and you know what? They even say they really appreciate everybody who supports, and I appreciate everyone who supports too. And anybody who can support and help out, like that means a lot to me. It means that I'm doing something both that you guys want to see more of done, and that I don't know, that I can keep doing stuff like this. I don't ever want to not have to keep doing stuff like this just because I couldn't. Never because I shouldn't, but because I couldn't. I don't think I've ever gotten to a point more so now than ever, to believe that anything that I am doing is something that I shouldn't be doing at all. Everything that I'm doing now is something I should be doing. Until I can't. Hope is for a very long time, but I hope I can't. But if I can't, it's gonna be a very bad day. So if nothing else, this is what I want to do. I mean that in a genuine degree of I'm doing this because it's good for me and it's good for everyone around me and good for the people I provide it to. So, that said, I mean, arguably, it's only about as good as getting to at least choose the poison you're drinking. But hey, this poison tastes really good. They seasoned it. Wait, this is just alcohol. But no, really, like, being able to make things is just something that I've determined is what I want to do. All I want to be able to do is continue to make things. That's really it. And all I need for that is the capacity to do so. That is what I'm looking for, more than anything else. There we go. Almost done. Almost done for today. The fur butt snoozes in my lap. I can feel him. He's a little volleyball. He's a little bowling ball right now. He's curled up into a little tiny bowling ball in my lap. Hey, I think I've made the most progress in a sort of production sense, and this is the longest I've gone without looking at the animation. I really haven't taken a look at what its condition currently is. I'm not going to until I draw the next frame. Yeah, I want to draw one more, and then we'll call it. Actually, I will draw there. I will draw a tween there. Ever slightly. Rock back. What? That was weird. I don't know why I did that. See, the eraser sometimes just does weird shit. I don't even know why I did that. There we go. Selected. Beat. Romantic. Technologic. That's the one I wanted. Oops. Not my favorite Daft Punk song, personally. It's good, though. I do think my favorite Daft Punk song probably is is Lose Yourself to Dance. That is one of my favorite Daft Punk songs of all time, no joke. That's because I love. I don't know what I would. It's kind of disco pop, kind of. Not really. I don't know what you'd call that song. I just like that style of song. I also like a song that gets my blood pumping and gets me wanting to dance. It's a good ass song. Up there? What about? Then I finish this, and we'll clean it up, call it a night. Good progress, honestly. Got my wrong brush. I got the other weirder brush. I need to use the old brush. Your word is fireworks. Why is your word fireworks? Is that a kill code? I keep forgetting what button I'm on, and I keep on accidentally undoing work. God damn it. Every time. I forget this line. Difficult to remember that line. It's a tiny little line. I forget. But I hope the eyes don't change size too much. Also, are you comfortable, Brat? He's done flipped himself upside down. Oh shit. Yeah, no, I need to. That's a huge hole. That's like not even. That's not even like, oh, whoopsie. Like a little one. Like that was. That was not gonna work. That wasn't like a tiny one that I missed on accident. That was like, oh shoot. There. Only hover the over the undo button. I should never hover over the undo button. Hover over the space bar. Get used. Just get used to moving it. Because right now I'm not using my keyboard. I'm using the actual buttons on the drawing tablet. Because I have a creature in my lap. have an obstruction. Though, I do kind of like using the buttons a little bit. They have a little... They have a nice placement, I guess, so they are convenient. Make it a little bit easier to access certain things. You don't have to... You don't need a keyboard in your lap, though. The thing that you lose in animation is you don't have the back and forth, which is a shame, and you don't have an easy... You have to manually turn off onion skinning and stuff. I can't use the shortcut for that unless I decide to program the macros myself, and I won't do. Then you're missing an entire right side that you could be using. One of which is literally switching displays. Why would you want to do that? Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either. I also wouldn't want to do a macro just for one program either. Kind of the... Adobe, this is... excuse me. Weird. Adobe, this is something I've never understood about you. Why are your shortcuts not consistently the same? Some of your programs do Control Y. Some of your programs do Control Alt or Control Shift Z for undo. And you know what? Always make it Control Shift Z. Why is sometimes it's Control Y? Before you say it, sure, I probably could program this to be Control Shift Z if I wanted to, but I shouldn't have to is the point. Oh shit. Oh, I sure as shit. The nice thing about having a pose go to is it gives you a very good guiding point to the next pose that you need to get to make sure that everything stays proportioned correctly the way you want it to be. That helps a lot, is what I've noticed. That, these, oh, well, that one works, but that one doesn't? What? Why? What does zoom in? What does zoom out work, but zoom in doesn't? It's so weird. Alright, now I just need to shift this. We're just going to remove those frames. Okay, that should be good. That should give me all the intel I need. What are the difference between... Oh, that's nice. Except that doesn't really help me in this case. Alright. Here we go. See how this came out today. God. That grab is so clean. What I might do... Actually, what's funny is I need more time for... So she does the grab. I think I might have her hold a little bit here. I might have her hold there a little bit longer. Because it seems like she turns a little bit too fast. So after the catch, you have her catch, and she pulls it down, and she moves her hand a little bit too soon. She also... She also... Hmm. That's what's crazy, is I bet if I removed a frame there, it would look better, because I want her to... I almost want to jerk. I want her to jerk to that frame. It's too smooth. It's actually too smooth. That or I have it keep going. Like, eh, eh. Yeah, it'll be like 3, and then you'll have a frame of her kind of curl her hand, and then 2, then curl her hand, and then 1. Yeah. It'll be some experimenting, but I think I can get it across. Either way, this is good work. This is good work. This is what I want. I want to definitely change the timing on that a little bit. I definitely want to change the timing on that a little bit. I think it's a little the arc is a little bit too slow. Um as it goes. If it's going too slow, that means move frame. And what I might actually remove is the last frame. So it just needs to be faster. It just needs to be faster because it's like it's not it's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be like a slow arc. It's supposed to be like a she's throwing her fingers out. That's better. That's better. Already better just by removing one frame. Is it's just so weird. It's just how it works, man. And it'll hold for like 2, and then it'll curl, and then throw it out again for 2. I'm glad I got the expression to narrow each time. That's fun. I'm going back through and fixing her face through that kind of segment. I feel like something about that I just was that there was a segment of this animation that I was really struggling. And it was about here, like this whole area. I was having a hard time. I don't know what it was. It got really wibbly, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of work still fixing that up. But everything else since then has been very solid. I also think that that works so much better. I might I'm watching it. I might go straight to that part and then see if I can speed it up a little bit more. But yeah, we'll remove. Actually, we're gonna remove the last 2 frames. This is how it goes sometimes. How it goes sometimes. That's better. Yeah. Yep. That's much better. I liked the little watch the ponytail. I like that it has a little bit of it kind of does a little fishtail there at the end. That's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah. And see how that I had more frames. Arguably I could have cut those down to ones maybe, but I think when you start adding ones where they don't need to be, things start looking weird. For me, things look best if you just use the same consistency. For me. Ooh, yeah, that looks really nice with the hair. The subtle detail with the hair is really nice. My hair shrunk. The little tassel on the left shrunk. Oops. Whoopsie. That does look quite good. That looks quite good. This is probably about as good as we're going to get tonight. Let me turn this on. I'm going to move my thing. We're just going to play the animation out while I undo my whole situation. Hopefully I don't destroy my desk, my livelihood, and my cat by doing this. Ugh. Oh. I did put that back first. The mouse back first. Now I can... It's meant to be moved, definitely. Ugh. I mean, it would be nice to have one of those, like, desk mounts where I could just keep it. If I could just keep this drawing tablet, like, on the center and then be able to do everything else, but I can't. I have to move it. All right. Okay. I think that's everything. I'm going to call it for the night. Before I go, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to open up Paint. We're going to make an image before we raid out. If you want to participate, all you got to do is type in chat. Whatever chat says, I'll use as a reference. And then I'll share the image before we raid out. Hold on. This is bugging me. I was wondering. I was like, why does it keep flashing? That's why. I'm going to make an image and then share the image before we raid out. And whatever chat says, I'll use as a reference. We're going to make a prompt. Whatever you guys say, I'll use as a reference. Oh, their word is fireworks. Got it. Got it. I understand now. So, thanks for joining, everybody. I'm going to make a prompt. And the prompt I'm going to start with is animating fireworks. Animating fireworks with my mind. If you want to add to that, I'll give you like 30 seconds. Besides, I gotta open up a couple more things anyways. Boy, I hope I don't. Just gonna close that just in case. Nothing. I would never have anything inappropriate open on my computer. Timer. 1 minute. One thing I want to try tonight, this has nothing to do with chat, or this has nothing to do with stream, this is just on my own time. I'm going to try to plug in the old VR and try to get a nice little last minute pump sesh before the end of the night. Should probably call it something different. I'm going to play some Beat Saber. I'm going to try beat some Saber, just try to beat some Saber before I go to bed. Try to actually, one, just to get back into the habit of working out and like getting some exercise because I kind of fell off on that because my life was a little bit of a nightmare, so it was really difficult to find the time, and I do have the time. Maybe I just need to go on midnight runs. Just go run in the middle of the night. What are you doing? It's fucking 12. Trying to help myself fall asleep. All right, animating fireworks with my mind. I think I can do that. I think I can do that. So I'm gonna make that image. Wish me luck. Boy. In some ways, I'm getting much better at this. In other ways, it's a fucking nightmare. At least I've gotten really good at being able to draw me really fast. Perfect. Perfect. All right. All right. Stick around to the very end, everybody else, to do a bit of closing bit. We do raid after every stream, so that way the vampires in our chat can keep watching. Just everybody else out there, make sure to go lock your doors and windows, because it is almost lunchtime for vampires. And thank you for joining, everybody. I hope you had a good time and you enjoyed the show. If you're able to join the live show, thank you for stopping by, chatting, and watching. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for taking the time to going back and rewatching the pod. We appreciate it. If you're out there and you enjoyed this and you want to see more of what we're up to, I recommend scrolling down below and following or clicking any of the links. There's a link to an Instagram, Facebook, a Twitter, and a Discord. And plus, we go live on any one of those platforms. Is anything and anything else that we're up to, and just generally come hang out with the rest of the community there. It's a good time on the Discord. Speaking of which, a shout out to our community there and everyone who follows. You guys are a wonderful audience. We appreciate you. If we do anything particularly entertaining or noteworthy, feel free to clip it and share it on the internet. Just make sure to also hashtag with MCCanary. I'll link it back to the stream so people can find more of the good stuff we do here. And if you want to see the stream grow, you gotta let people know. I appreciate that people have been talking about the stream, and I encourage you guys to do it more. It does help us out. It's just super rad that you guys have been willing to do that. And it's just neat that we're doing things that you guys want to talk about. So go tell people about the stream. Go tell your friends about the stream. I won't. And as always, a huge thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon and Twitch. Your generosity allows us to continue to expand the stream as well as take on more projects, and the stream would not be made possible without viewers like you, so we thank you. If you want to see your name added to this list, as well as a couple of the benefits you can get, you can always subscribe directly on Twitch, or you can check out the Patreon page and the coffee here. It'll show you everything that you can get, and any amount is always appreciated. Once again, thank you. And thank you to your mods doing a wonderful job holding back the robot army from becoming famous. Thank you, everybody, for just vibing, listen to some good music, and just being a chill time. Get you through the housekeeping and get you on your way. Check out the rest of our friends at Goblin Entertainment here. That link tree has links to everyone's channels and everything that they've done and they've been up to, and the rest of my stuff here was it, which has everything that I post to. So go check everybody out in Goblin Entertainment and stick around. We'll go say hi to Misa. We'll go say hi to Misa. We'll go let them know that I made progress. So go say hi to her. She's playing Minecraft. Hanging out with friends. She's a good gal. Otherwise, have yourselves a good evening. Take yourselves easy. And remember, something we talked about tonight. Just remember anything we talked about tonight. Just remember do your best. I guess just remember to do your best. Sometimes. Your best is getting to 3. Next time, hopefully, we get to 2. I mean, I think it should. Well, Essentially, we did a second. We did a second today in 3 hours, which I mean that's 20. I did 12 frames in 3 hours. That's about 15 minutes a frame. I do want to pump those numbers up. I think they should go up in that value. That's not good. That's not saying that that's good. But that is how long it took me. That's how long it takes to animate. Because animation takes a long time.